So coming off the end of the previous chapter, we saw that Gojo and Sukuna had reached their limit of being able to use domain expansions anymore. They just damaged their brains so much over the course of this battle that they've reached this limit of like exhaustion. So going forward, they're going to be fighting more physically, I guess you could say. And in the beginning of this chapter, we see Kusakabe asking anyone if they've received a serious punch from Gojo, and we find out that Akotsu and Hikari have. This makes sense because before, we came into the story with Yuji and them, Akotsu and Hikari were both students at Jujutsu High, the same as Yuji and Megumi are. Akotsu a second year and Hikari a third year, but we also know that Gojo trained them at some point. I don't know how long he trained them, but he did, and at some point he hit both of them with Limitless. So they know what it's like firsthand. And Kusakabe explains that Gojo overlaps the blue effect of Limitless. Like when he enhances Limitless with Curse Energy, it creates like this vacuum effect. So he says he overlaps that with his punch that's enhanced by Cursed Energy. So I'm assuming this means that like right before he makes a connection with you, throwing a punch, he pulls you in with blue, like coming from the fist, and then it hits you at the last second. And then his fist actually makes contact at the last second. So it's like a super punch. I guess that's what he's trying to get across here, because Hikari says, when you're getting hit by it, it feels like it's a counter as opposed to like a normal punch. Then Yuji says that Nanami said the same thing. And then we go to this flashback with Nanami where they're in the back of a car and he's basically saying like, don't compare yourself to Gojo. Like his punch like jabs are like my criticals. And coming back from the flashback, we see Ino like grabbing his hat. And this is like the second time that Ino has been associated with Nanami. And it makes me wonder if he has something to do with Nanami's coming back. But it just seems like something along the lines of him coming back without physically coming back is going to happen. Like, I don't know, his curse technique comes back or something he left behind comes back. Not really sure, but Nanami is definitely gonna do something. But we come back to Gojo taking on Sukuna and he's just ripping him through the environment. And he eventually goes for this blue attack where he sucks in all this debris, but Sukuna breaks out of it and tries to counter him, but almost gets his head stepped on. And he's able to flip out of it, but then we see that Gojo's somehow able to create like clones, but Sukuna instantly picks the correct one. And they wind up gauging distance. And we see that Gojo has pretty much figured out what he needed to figure out at this point. Because if you'll notice throughout this battle, Maharaga's wheel, the Dharma Chakra, has been changing colors. And Sukuna says the meaning of the ritual for summoning Maharaga and his wheel is complete circulation and balance. Maharaga adapts to the attack after taking it and having the wheel spin, which we all knew at this point. And the wheel does spin. And it's like, what did he adapt to at that point?
But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Private Internet Access. Private Internet Access is a virtual private network, or a VPN for short, which hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. And believe it or not, Private Internet Access also provides a tool that can help anime fans. And I'll get more into that later, but Private Internet Access is also a tool that helps you with your everyday life. Because whenever you connect to the internet on a public Wi-Fi network, your data is at risk of being stolen. That's why Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection through their world-class server infrastructure, which makes your information shielded and bulletproof. You can also now use one Private Internet Access subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. But that's not all, because Private Internet Access also allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Guys, we all love anime on this channel, and streaming services are notorious for region blocking certain anime. But you don't have to worry about that anymore, because Private Internet Access helps you overcome these restrictions by giving you the option to change your IP address to one of their 84 countries to choose from, as well as all 50 US states, allowing you to gain access to websites and services that are only available in those locations.
It's a great time to get Private Internet Access because Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is currently airing. And if you already have Netflix like most of us, you don't have to go out of your way to get another streaming service just to be able to watch it. Because with Private Internet Access, you can just switch your VPN to Japan and boom, you instantly have access to all of the new Jujutsu Kaisen and Big 3 episodes.
So guys, you can get Private Internet Access by clicking my link in the description. And by doing that, you're also going to get an 83% discount on Private Internet Access. That's just $2.03 a month. And you'll also get 4 extra months completely free. Thanks, guys.
But then we get Gojo's inner monologue, and he basically says that when Sukuna uses domain amplification, in order to be able to hit Gojo in the first place, the Dharma Chakra wheel turns black. And you can actually see when it was happening during their fight. So when that happens, it no longer has the ability to adapt. And that makes sense because domain amplification shuts down your curse technique when you use it. You basically gain this little filter to be able to get past other people's curse techniques in exchange for using your own. And Gojo also figures out that this means that domain amplification isn't a barrier technique. Since both Gojo and Sukuna, but more so Sukuna in this case, burnt out the part of their brain that uses barrier techniques, which is why they're unable to use domain expansions right now. So he's like, oh, I guess it wasn't a barrier technique. Then after another quick exchange, we come back to the sorcerers talking about Maharaga and how he isn't coming out. And Hikari asks, like, for the limitless attack, does it have to be spun several times? And this is something that we've been talking about for the last couple weeks. It's like Maharaga can adapt to anything, but how far does it go? Like, and how broad is it? Because Gojo can manipulate limitless in multiple ways. So if he just hits him with the base of limitless, just space manipulation or whatever, then does he become adapted to the entire technique and all the variances of it? And I guess he doesn't, because going further, Gojo's like, you need 4 spins total to be able to overcome limitless, so you need 3 more. So he adapted to limitless void, instant attack inside of his domain expansion, and he also needs to adapt to limitless itself, blue, red, and purple. So I guess this means that he's adapted to limitless at its base, or was it blue that he was adapting to? I guess it was that. I'm not really sure. I can't tell for myself from this panel, but considering that he has 3 left, he has to adapt it to one of them that isn't limitless void. Or I assume that's how it's going here. But it's also interesting that Gojo himself is saying this. Now it could be like a binding vow or showing your hand. Like explaining this could make something stronger for Gojo, but it also could be disinformation. Maybe it's not exactly 4, but it's 5. And the 5th could be what his maximum technique is. Something we've also been talking about for a while that he hasn't exactly shown yet. At this point, I don't think we know if Limitless has a maximum technique, right? So I guess that's like the last thing here. Like, he tricks Sukuna into thinking that he's fully adapted to Limitless with Maharaga. Like, Maharaga comes out after 3 more adapts. Then Gojo's like, yeah, I lied, and then does his maximum technique possibly. Or there could be something else that happens, because coming into the end of the chapter, Gojo's like, I'll kill you before the 3 spins. And then we see Angel watching. She's like, did he forget about Megumi? And of course, he didn't forget about Megumi. I do think that Gojo probably learned how to use reverse curse techniques on others, and he's going to use that on Megumi to save him, regardless of the outcome here, or at least his body. Like, I don't think he plans on killing Megumi just to take out Sukuna. And the very last panel, we see Kashimo saying it's okay to forget about him, because Kashimo, of course, wants to kill Sukuna. And I'm sure he thinks that Gojo probably can't get the job done here, because he's also mentioned before that he'll jump in if Gojo dies, or if something happens like that. And this is like the second time Kashimo is like being shown here, being hungry to go after Sukuna. That's like his whole purpose in the series. And we also know that he has a curse technique that you can only perform once. And it's probably some ultra powerful lightning thing that could, in theory, take down somebody as powerful as Sukuna if they're just hit with it, point blank or whatever. So that's going to happen. I just don't know if it's going to happen before or after Gojo is defeated, or, man, I don't know, but it's a really exciting prospect. But let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments, guys. And if you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.